Hi, I'm Amy McKnight, Mac mentor and founder of the Mac Spa. I have been using and supporting Apple products and helping people with their technology needs for over 20 years. And one of the other things I really enjoy and look forward to after a long day of busting my brain at work is happy hour. So, in this new video series, I'll be interviewing my friends and colleagues over happy hour while we're discussing a tech topic. So, I hope you'll have a drink with us and enjoy the show, and maybe you'll even learn something new.
Very interesting you contacted me about this because I've seen a lot.
Let's start with our drinks. Today we're having Prosecco.
I am so excited about cheersing to the 2021 year
Yes.
and many good things ahead. And one of the things we're going to talk about today is just how agile we can be and resilient.
That's right.
and just accept change as something wonderful and adventurous.
Well, happy 2021.
Happy
And
2021.
cheers.
Cheers.
Yes. So
Okay.
I want to dive in today's interview, my very first one. We're just a few days into January. And I would like to talk about Flash, which, as we know, Adobe stopped supporting at the end of December 2020. And I posted a video that basically to one of my YouTube tips that said, uninstall Flash because we're getting these update or these little pop-ups that say it's time to uninstall. And people freaked out. People are really upset. So I got
Really?
way more comments than I expected, way more just people going, oh no, what about my Flash games and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wow, this is really something for a lot of people. So anyway, it became number 7 of all my videos in 1 month.
Wow. I am really surprised.
I was surprised too. So I'm
Where were
like,
the protests when the iPhone and iPad came out? And
right. And I was thinking about it and I thought, okay, back in 2010, when the iPad came out, Steve Jobs came out with that thoughts on Flash,
mm,
big open letter, how he criticized Flash and how it wasn't progressive and they weren't going to include it in the iOS, the
hmm
iPhone and iPad operating systems. And that's when the iPad came out. So it was already, I guess he called it, he said something like how things have their winter, spring, summer, fall. And he's like, we like to work with things that are in their spring.
hmm
He felt like Flash was already in its winter. Like it was like it was ready to go. And that was 10 years ago. So I was a little surprised that so many people were protesting the end of it. And I wanted to get a more, kind of a insight on what that means for different people. So there's people that use it for games, there's people that use it in web development. Anyhow, that was kind of where this came from. My guest today is Robin Rozum, and she is a web developer, graphic designer, and has been a Flash developer in the past. So she has a lot of insights to how Flash has affected people, how it's currently used, how it's transitioning away from. So I am excited to have this conversation with
Well, I
her.
know why
So
people love it. And it's because it was one of the first platforms that really made it easy for an artist or anyone who fancies themselves um, on the fringes of web development to go in and bring their creative product into fruition and to literally create an experience which we had not been privy to before online. And let me tell you, it was so fun to dive in and easy to want to spend my time to explore that space because I could be really creative, talk about, Easter eggs, the early Easter egg or hidden online experience was developed in straight code long ago, but people learn to anticipate them with this kind of thing, with these experiences.
I
Like
remember that. I forgot
could
about that.
literally have like a waiting room while you waited for something exciting to load and you wouldn't care. So all these things that bottom line just get stripped away from the world of optimization. And that is why it has been stripped away from today's leading platforms. And it's interesting because I can tell you everybody wants things to load quickly. Um, what I loved about the early days of Flash is you could create a vector very intuitively, an animated vector, and it wouldn't weigh down a site unless you added like a photograph or something that had lots of detail. But there are new ways to do these things, and all these wonderful games that people adore. I would check and see how they've adapted. Like what games or apps are you using, and can you contact them? Are they still in business, or is it something that's not serviced anymore? Because that will tell you something. And there's never been more apps on the market to fulfill any any need you want. Like I tell you, send me a challenge. There's probably an app or
Right.
extension for that. And
Something to make it work. Right.
yes. And it sounds like if it is a Flash-based item, I'm curious. I'm guessing that they're online based, and that's nice. That doesn't weigh down your computer. Now, as a developer, I have developed apps for clients to run simulations. Um, and I'm actually working on one today. But what we're doing is I'm helping this person convert the Flash animation we once created, and we're converting it to PHP. That's where it's at. You
Hmm.
know? So,
Yeah.
and then if you are the developer, that's a whole nother thing. Because guess what? This is an open source world, and it's surprising where some of the most innovative alternatives are coming from. Airbnb, believe it or not, they've got some of the world's best devs on it,
Hmm.
and they are creating products that create something similar. Um, there is some open source, so it's almost like an extension or a plugin, for your After Effects. If you wanted to continue creating these lightweight animated vectors, but I'm sure that most of your readers or your viewers may not be Flash developers, but I'm saying that there are so many alternatives. There's even more options, and it's funny, but uh, Adobe has gone away with Flash, the name of it, for some time now. They began calling it Animate, or just transitioning to Animate
Hmm. Okay.
as an alternative, and it is supposed to be kind of the future in embracing you know the open source technology, or at least the same language, so that it can be compatible with everything else. And the reason why this is important is because all of it's lightweight and it loads quickly for you because of the way it's scripted. But if those scripts aren't going to be compatible with the open source world out there, then you're going to have to find an alternative, or just, you know what? You get quotes to get someone like me to facilitate a transition from Flash to PHP, or some other. It just depends how you want to use something, but it's dawn of a new era. But honestly, the devs I worked with 10 years ago, we all knew that we were going to have to transition.
Well, that
Uh,
was my question is, wouldn't you think most developers would have already transitioned away from Flash? And is
yeah,
there a reason why anybody would still be developing with it?
only because someone is really holding on to a product, and it may be like for internal use. Like they don't care how the rest of the world uses it, but it may allow them to create an on the fly, like customized presentation for someone. It's kind of hard to explain without giving an example, because there's so many endless uses. Some are just for entertainment, but some are actually to, like, let's say you had an advanced form or questionnaire and you had image mapping. So you could say, hey, I'm going to have this client walk through this experience and it's going to animate what they really look like
And
with,
maybe they spend a fortune on developing that and want to preserve that, right?
or if it's such an effective
Or
tool.
just, uh-huh.
Because, you know, I think people have come to rely on, I've gotten such good feedback, and they're like, well, why do I need to transition away now?
Mhm.
Um, and you know, if this is just for us. But the thing is, another thing where product is going is to make it more accessible so others can leverage it. And maybe you want to sell the product as a white label. So, hey, here's my thing where you can see where you lie on the personality spectrum, or and how you make decisions in life. And this is something I'm going to convert to PHP, and I'm going to make it so others can white label it. And I'm going to sell this as a product that's going to make the world a better place so we can all work and make decisions more in a more informed way. So there's a lot of good reasons, right? If you're developing an app like that, maybe I mean, it does not cost nearly as much to convert a function. If you've already got that whole roadmap, under paved, uh, you know, there's still on some people old developers will find a way to view that experience and to look at the action scripts and to make that work for you in another language. So, and one, hopefully that you can leverage to help other people with, or to sell other people. And if you believe it's useful, just adapt. We all we began
Come on,
adapting
evolve,
10
people.
years ago. So it's wonderful that other
We knew
people
about this.
are on the same, are aware how things have changed now as
Mhm.
on that end. Yeah.
Yeah. So what would you tell someone that has no clue, all of a sudden they're going to their favorite website and it's just not working?
Gosh, I wonder what kind of,
And
if it's mostly games, right?
that's what I'm
And even the
hearing
contact form
is
isn't working.
games. So
This is what I would do. Um, I would do a simple Google search on what that game was, and to see if there are alternatives. People love to help other people. So I
right.
personally love forums for that, for like Reddit.
So have you heard of Blue Maxima? It's like some
No.
kind of a Flash alternative that came out a couple of years ago.
Oh,
And I learned about that when I started looking into it. I'm like, oh, people are downloading this thing to play their Flash
web
games.
game preservation project.
Yeah, they're preserving old stuff. So
You could,
I was curious then, like, are there any real repercussions for a professional for, um, I mean, I guess from a couple of different angles. From just a regular user, if it's just games, you could probably get around it, or like you said, find an alternative. But have
Mhm.
you seen any problems or repercussions so far? I know we're only a few days in since the official support stopped,
Yes.
but I was just wondering, was it like Y2K where like at midnight all of a sudden everything crashed? Or people thought that, or like, did anything actually happen that was
I
devastating for
wish I knew
people?
more about it from a user end, because we are
Yeah.
so aware of it, um, and saw this coming and had it written out for us. And you could not, Flash was not even available, really. It's Animate now, or they
Right.
transitioned long before they stopped accepting Flash Player. Finding a way to adapt, I just know that for the people who were slow to change, it was more of a native app experience because they can control that and you can export it as different files. So that's one thing
Oh,
is,
right.
but that's like on the developer end that I'm familiar with. When it comes to my clientele, I've been telling them to transition away for quite a time, just because that is counterintuitive to algorithms that will give them high visibility and success for people finding them and um, being useful. You know, SEO is pretty much as organic gauge on how useful you are. Um, and intuitive to users. I am guessing that those games, they weren't worth investing in if it's a dead end for that, if there's just too much to rebuild. I mean, a lot has changed since those games were developed, is my
Right.
guess. And there's a lot more things to take advantage of. And
Yeah.
I just can't imagine someone wanting to necessarily invest. But I like this idea of, oh, I'm going to export it a different way for my users
Mhm.
or for these folks who are still interested in this. And it seems like the Blue Maxima Flashpoint, that seems to be a very viable option. And there's a lot of documentation. So if it's not already there, I just don't know. I think you're better off searching for an alternative. Some of the um, browser extensions I use, I mean, I use screen captures and video capture so that I can share video tutorials but I've had to adjust the way that I do that. That's something that I get used to doing. I'm always Googling and I start at the source. I prefer it to be a web-based app. So I might start with Chrome extensions. I'm on Chrome the most, but
Right.
um, that's where I'll go first. And Google even has an app marketplace, like an API marketplace, and that's beyond just an app.
Like, I don't have any need for it. I'm not a developer.
Yeah,
I don't use any sites that still have it. Like, I don't ever think about it. Safari
right.
hasn't had Flash included in its extensions for a year.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I couldn't even use it when I wanted to. I'd go to a website and it would say, you need the Flash extension to watch this website. I'd be like, oh, okay. Download Flash or go to Chrome. And I'm like, I'm happy all that stuff is over. I don't want to see download Flash. And, what I've told people is Flash was a target for people for malware.
Yes,
It was
the
something that
XML.
you're used to seeing, like you have to download an update all the time. And people will click update and guess what? That's not really Flash. You just installed malware. So
You
I
know
just see
what?
that
I
loop
think
being
that's one of the
learned.
reasons why they did. I
Yeah.
bet that's why Chrome had had enough. They want to limit,
Yeah.
you know,
So they're like, just take it
exposure.
off your system. So if you ever see a Flash thing pop up again, just know that's not from Adobe. You don't need it anymore. It's
Mhm.
gone. It's going away. So
Yeah.
I
Ex-
welcomed the change because I didn't want to download it or update it or wonder if it's the real thing or
It's
not.
just too compromising because it really does allow script to talk to script to talk to script. And it's like, oh,
I think Apple's probably like, yay. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
so another thing
Mm.
though that I've seen that I myself have exported Flash out of to accommodate and extend the life a little bit for people. And it was a product that basically allows you to create an app and just an app API and play it as something different. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, the bottom line is you can extend the life. Probably, hey, open source has made it easy, and that seems like the best option. As you know, we're all rethinking the tools that we're using anyway.
Right.
Unless there's very specific contracts, I am shying away from Adobe for the first time in my life. There's things that force you in that other direction. And I love that there's a sentimental side to this, though. It's
Yeah.
like, and the original devs, hopefully they will be inspired by this following to do something. That's what my hope
Yeah,
is.
I hope so too. Something that's not going to open up your computer to malicious attacks. So
Yeah.
The only thing I think you just have to be careful if you're using anything antiquated or not supported. It's like, well, is this safe? Is that safe? So from a developer side though, do you still have any clients that are still transitioning, or are you pretty much
Uh-huh. I'm
still doing
this
it? Okay.
morning, this morning, and
Mm,
it's so nice and that they're honestly, the
finally
couple
ready.
that were holding out, um, yeah, they needed this to move
Mm,
them forward. And it's not like it was more expensive, it's just an adjustment. Some people
yeah.
just needed it. It just usually inspires something new and great. So
Right, exactly. So something else will come out of it.
yeah.
I'm excited to see what happens in the coming months.
Hmm. But I
If
like that there's open source stuff where, I mean, some of them do look suspicious. It's like, you want me to upload my file, provide access to my computer, and then like convert it into something else and save on my drive?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate your insights, and I'm
Oh,
hoping that is helpful to other people that are viewing this, and
yeah.
we'll see what happens in the coming months.
Yeah.
So,
Well, feel free to send a question my way or two. I'm more than happy if it's not related to games, and if it is something that is on a functional level. I don't know if there's a function that you just cannot match, that you miss, and you would like to know the next best thing. I'd be happy to walk someone through options, but you
I'll keep
know,
my ears out. I won't be surprised if those things come my way. So, robinrosum.com if you have questions about your website,
mhm.
or
Like the bird, ROBIN ROZUM. That's
yes.
me. It used to say Flash developer, and now it is a many thing related to optimization, to just getting who you are out there online so that it's really clear for other people.
Well, thank you so much. Let's do one more toast to
Oh, toast.
2021.
Cheers to that. It's nice to celebrate this new year with you. And
Happy New Year.
yes, happy new year to you too. And
And that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us today. For more about the MacSpa, go to themacspa.com, or for tech tips, go to youtube.com/themacspa. If you have a great idea for a tech topic you'd like to hear about, please leave it in the comments. See you next time.